Brawley is a 16-year-old girl whose story is the talk of New York these days. The New York State teenager who claims that she was abducted and raped by 6 white men.
In the late 1980s, Tawana Brawley became a household name as her horrific stories spread across the nation.
She had KKK written across her chest and nigger across her stomach,
leading to widespread outrage.
We want to expose the facts in these crimes that you do against black people.
And intense soul-searching about race in America.
Let Miss Brawley represent what we're not going to stand for as parents, as Americans, and as human beings.
But how did investigators discover the truth behind the Brawley rape, and what is its legacy today?
I think that the lessons of Brawley is very instructive for me and others, but I think that people want to cut off the lessons where they want.
In November 1987, a news story from a small town 70 miles north of New York City shocked the nation.
Special segment tonight, the Tawana Brawley case. She was found wrapped in a plastic bag, by some accounts, sexually assaulted.
The 16-year-old cheerleader said she'd been abducted 4 days earlier and had been repeatedly raped and sodomized.
She was found in a fairly frightening state. She had a pair of sneakers which had been cut with a razor. Her hair seemed matted and covered with feces. There was writing on her chest. The jeans that she had were burnt in the crotch. It was like, this is not a normal state to find someone.
More unsettling was the claim Brawley made on national television about one of her attackers.
It's a cop. He was a police officer.
Brawley attracted a team of activists to her side. The Reverend Al Sharpton, C. Vernon Mason, and Alton Maddox were well known in the press, having recently focused attention on another racially charged case, the killing of a black youth who was fleeing a white mob in Howard Beach, Queens.
New York State is now the capital of racial violence.
In the Brawley case, they saw the makings of a cover-up and demanded a special prosecutor take over.
I was a spokesman for the legal team and the family of Miss Brawley. I was involved to help bring light on the fact that there was a situation that needed to be adjudicated.
We are not going to let this girl be the scapegoat of a corrupt system.
We want to show the world how low down, dogged, and callous the state of New York is.
Brawley's advisors declared they had a suspect, a young police officer named Harry Christ Jr., who had committed suicide days after her attack.
The media now has released that Tawana identified Chris.
What's the evidence, sir?
Tawana's voice on the tape identifying Chris.
With protesters taking to the streets, the state attorney general dispatched veteran investigator John Ryan to upstate New York, with orders to solve the increasingly sensitive case.
We attempted immediately to sit down with Tawana and her family, and we reached out repeatedly to her attorneys, her advisors, and that was never fruitful.
Her lawyers, it was their decision, along with her family, which I announced, that they did not want to cooperate because they did not trust the special prosecutor that was appointed by the governor.
We might send them a letter, and then, they'd have a press conference.
They're at a press conference, and all of a sudden, Alton Maddox pops out with this guy's name.
Her lawyers charged that Dutchess County Assistant District Attorney Stephen Pagonis was among the girl's attackers and demanded his arrest.
We have the facts and the evidence that an assistant district attorney and a state trooper did this. She made statements to the lawyer. She never made statements to me. I did not ask a 15-year-old girl what happened. I believe the lawyers believed their client, and I believe that we had an obligation to go forward.
Without Brawley's cooperation, Ryan tried to divine some clues from the initial police investigation.
In the course of the interview with the police, she literally only said one word. She would also indicate, I believe by eye blinks, they would ask her a question and she would indicate yes or no. The police officer took what they could get. She was found in a grassy area behind the building that her family had previously lived in, very near the apartment that was then vacant but unlocked. She had literally just come off being grounded because she got home at 5 in the morning from some party. She goes to visit a boyfriend in jail, And then she eventually takes the bus home, and that's the last time anybody saw her officially during those 4 days.
From his headquarters at the State Armory in Poughkeepsie, Ryan and his team struggled to make sense of a case that seemed to grow more complicated every day.
We were an investigation under siege.
We closed the bridge, the court, and this building, and Main Street.
The press had its agenda. No offense. The advisors had their agenda. No offense. Quite frankly, we had to deal with those of us in the armory against the rest of the world.
There were scores of false leads. An acquaintance said he was with Brawley. He wasn't. A man claimed to have secret tapes that cast doubt on the veracity of Brawley's advisors. He didn't.
We started a rumor about a 9-fingered man, just to see how long it would take for a press report, to call us and start to ask about the 9-fingered man. I think it took 2 days.
But such moments of levity were brief.
The trooper starts up the steps of the armory, and these demonstrators decided they weren't going to let him in. He grabbed the demonstrator that was fighting him. Next thing we knew, Reverend Sharpton was accusing me of kicking a blind man. That bothered me. You realize how a lie can spread.
Her advisors have said a lot the past few months, charging that white local officials were involved in the crime, not to mention the Mafia, the Ku Klux Klan, and the Irish Republican Army.
Sharpton called Cuomo a racist, compared Abrams to Hitler, and said Brawley would go to jail rather than cooperate with the investigators.
Maddox would actually say that the Attorney General of the state of New York was masturbating over pictures of 15-year-old Tawana Brawley.
They looked up and they saw Maddox, Mason, and Sharpton. What's wrong with them? What was wrong with us was practice didn't choose us.
I think a lot of the rhetoric, including mine, went too far.
You's a rat
but
too.
I think
You told on the mafia.
Between the rhetoric and the reason we got
My
involved.
queens.
But at the time, that reason was questioned by one of his own associates.
Assault awareness
from the beginning.
For a reason.
Perry McKinnon, you couldn't see
Do not
without seeing
judge until you know all the facts.
He was with him at all times.
That's why I did this.
Decorated war hero.
I want you all to refresh your memories on a case that happened. Do not judge until you know all of the facts.
We will be the biggest niggas in New York.
This is the reason why I said sexual assault awareness.
If I say that if I win for president when I ran, I'll be the biggest black guy in America, does that really mean that I perpetrated a lie?
As the press turned up the heat on Brawley's advisors, Ryan uncovered new clues.
The jeans she had on were burnt in the crotch, but she wasn't burnt there. The cutting in the sneaker, clearly it was done when the no foot was in the sneaker.
An FBI lab agent on the case drew his attention to bits of cotton found inside the feces-smeared glove, allegedly used in the attack on Brawley.
We were having a drink, and he said to me, and the damnedest thing is we found the same thing under her fingernails. Well, I almost spit my drink out. Get burnt cotton under her fingernails, burnt cotton in the tips of the glove. There's a real good chance, she's wearing those gloves.
Next, Ryan set about discovering the source of the racial epithet found on Brawley's body.
I went back to this case for a reason, everyone. Do not judge until you know all the facts. Do not judge until you know all the facts. There's a reason. That's why I called it sexual assault awareness. Do not judge until you know all the facts. Please, my queens and kings, please. Let's not make this mistake again. Please. That's why I said sexual assault awareness. Do not judge until you know all the facts. Let's not make this mistake again. My kings and
burning
queens.
cotton in my kitchen.
My queens and kings.
And wasn't getting anywhere. And the burnt cotton fibers fell into the sink. And my wife, who's always been smarter than me, leaned forward, put her finger on the burnt cotton in the water, went like this, went like that. Looks like it to me. It was the last piece of the puzzle.
Today, after 7 months, 6,000 pages of testimony, and 180 witnesses, a grand jury found beyond any doubt Tawana Brawley's story is a lie.
Those allegations are untrue. The people who made those allegations lied. Their outrageous, irresponsible acts have increased the atmosphere of tension between the races.
I think that people have to advocate what they believe in. I have friends right now that believe O.J. Simpson is guilty right now. Right now. And a jury said he's not. Does that mean that I think they don't have credibility? That means that I think that they have a belief that I don't share and a jury didn't share. A grand jury did not believe Ms. Brawley. I believe there was reason to pursue this situation.
One of the real victims of this case was the family of the police officer. They suffered the loss of their son through a horrible means, and then were subjected in the press to these allegations which had nothing to do with them.
I didn't bring him in the case, Ms. Brawley did. I was speaking for Ms. Brawley. I mean, of course we wanted the aspects of what her allegation was investigated.
Pagonis was also vindicated in the report.
We accounted for virtually every moment of his time over the 4-day period and concluded he had absolutely nothing to do with it.
There's absolutely no way that this served any good social purpose. If you concoct a rape, then you undermine the credibility of women who are raped. If you concoct a rape and turn it into a race crime, then you undermine true victims of race crimes.
About 6 months after the hoax was unmasked, Brawley's former boyfriend told Newsday that Tawana had invented the scheme, apparently to avoid a beating by her mother's boyfriend after running away from home. But Brawley, who now works as a nurse under another name in Virginia, has steadfastly refused to explain herself publicly.
I'm not a liar and I'm not crazy. What did I lie about? Lie about what? The grand jury to me didn't really exist. That was all a farce.
Brawley and her advisors lost a defamation suit to Pagonis in 1998. Maddox had his law license suspended due to his refusal to answer questions about his conduct during the case. And Mason lost his because of unconnected ethical lapses. Sharpton was acquitted in a series of charity-related fraud charges.
I think that...
And he was acquitted because he told on the Italian mafia. That's why he was acquitted. The reason why, my queens and kings, my kings and queens, I understand you're going to say, St. Thomas, there's Caucasians up here. Do not judge until you know all the facts. That's what I'm just trying to make. I'm trying to make an example. Do not judge until you know all the facts. Please. Know all the facts before you judge. Please, my queens and kings, kings and queens. Please. We cannot make this mistake again. We cannot. There's a lot of things. R. Kelly. Now the army is raping our women. Please do not make this mistake again.
We, and certainly I, going forward, learned how to be more cautious. But I also think the media has not adopted a lot of its lesson. And I think prosecutors have not adopted its lesson.
The activist himself has moved on from the hoax that has altered the lives of so many others.
Barack Obama.
I told Reverend Al backstage, he's getting skinnier than me.
If we had something right or wrong, at least give us credit. At least give me credit for a life that was geared towards social justice. Even if you think I was wrong on some cases.
Nah, you wasn't wrong.
Don't act like I wasn't geared towards social justice.
Al Sharpton, I won't say you was wrong, man. You brought light that our kings and queens our queens and kings are out here getting raped. So I salute you. I salute you. You're still a rat, though, but I salute you.
I have radio show, TV show, do lectures. I make a good living. Why am I doing it now? What's my point now? Maybe I really believed it.
But after 25 years, one fundamental question about the Brawley case still follows him.
Did a crime occur, in your view, still?
Whatever happened, you're dealing with a minor who was missing 4 days, so it's clear that something wrong happened.
He's still saying, I think something happened. Gosh, you're supposed to be a little bit bigger all these years later than being able to say, I think something happened.
Welcome to Politics Nation. I'm Al Sharpton.
One would think if he sold you such a terrible bill of goods on such a giant story that dominated news cycles for such a long period of time and proved to be a total hoax, that you might not show up at his next press conference with your camera crew. He has managed to transcend it. Man,